when you talk about the change of sentiment, right? COVID-19 is sort of like the global pandemic, so it's probably not a significant impact compared to the other two. As people are less mobile for all the traveling restriction, that also will impact the inflow of capital.
Hey everyone, Darren here. Welcome to Denzity Insights, where we interview experts worldwide to tell you more about how the real estate industry works. Experts such as real estate agents, developers, world-class investors, advisors, and more can break all the myths and misunderstandings for your own real estate exploration. Today's guest is a good friend of mine, Simon. He's a commercial real estate agent in Hong Kong, and he wants to share with you some thoughts on the Hong Kong real estate market, the impact of COVID-19, and how to get involved in the Greater Bay Area real estate market, which is very close to us and it's been a very hot topic. I hope you enjoyed the show and have a great day. Thank you. Hey Simon, welcome to the show.
Hey Darren, good to see you.
Yeah, so for the audience that's tuned in, so Simon and I have been friends for like quite some times, and then we have never had this kind of format to talk about, what his skill set and what's his experience and everything. So Simon, thanks for coming in, because something that I've always want to ask you more about it.
Of course, thanks for having me on the show. Good opportunity. Happy to share.
That's good. So when we begin, would you mind telling the audience more about yourself and your work?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Simon Yu, a real estate transaction specialist currently working in Hong Kong. I've been in the real estate brokerage business for almost a decade now, currently spending most of my time on the investment / redevelopment deals and working with institutional clients. I actually focus on dealing with family offices and also real estate funds. And a little bit of my personal background: I was born in Hong Kong and grew up in Toronto in Canada. I've spent, I think likewise to you, similar background, Darren. I've spent a reasonable time in both West and East parts of the world. Having decided to return to Asia after my studies, my passion has always been meeting new people and building meaningful relationships. And it's extremely satisfying when you are, I guess, able to learn new skills, engaging like-minded individuals throughout the journey. Hence, I think today we have this lovely interview with your new venture. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
No worries. I mean, a lot of people in the industry knows who you are already, so I'm sure everyone will know more about your information anyway.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, some.
Yes, no, you're being humble. But first of all, right, because like a lot of audience might not understand what a commercial real estate agent is. Would you mind telling the audience what's a typical day like for you, like a commercial real estate agent, and what do you do on a daily basis?
Sure. Thank you. Well, I guess to start off further on the introduction, I happened to had an opportunity, fortunate enough to deal with different clients. So when I first came back from, I guess, returning to Asia, I specialized more in the leasing sector. And now in the capital markets team, so more on the institutional clients. So I guess typical day as a broker, meeting client, connecting with individuals. So dating back, I think staying relevant with the market and connecting with the clients, that will be my short answer. For my hat in the capital markets sector, so sizable transaction, if you will, anything relating with real estate, be that some sort of tenants movement or new developments in the city, because I specialize in Hong Kong, of course, and capital investments, like especially in the equity market, so stock market also do have some impact. So I would say to channel the right messages to the proper audience in order to create value would be my objective. So physically speaking, because we have the new office, we have now agile working, ABW. So typical day, talking to different people, communicate with different colleagues in various line of businesses, and coming into the office and going out to meet clients, I would say will be a typical day for me.
So would that be fair to say that like your role as a connector, and then trying to, like if a landlord or a funds or a buyer or seller want to know more about what's going on, you'll be the person that people will talk to and say, hey, what's going on? And then what kind of service exactly, like when you say like connecting, like what does that even mean?
Yeah, I mean, connecting just like what we're doing now, right? I would say the fundamental would be the education part. So staying relevant. So say, for example, you have a residential property in Hong Kong, then most likely you will want to understand what's the development that will be happening around your area, who has been investing and who will be or currently looking to invest around. I think those are the topics that I would be referring to. So I would say yes, a connector in the sense that, relating to all real estate aspect. If that answers your question, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fine. I just for like, cause like, my background, I used to work at a real estate fund. So I'm kind of understand how is it like, but then for audience might not understand, like, it'd be hard to grasp, but which we can go back a little bit later on. Mm. And then something that I want to ask you too personally is because, we're both in Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong has been a lot of ups and downs for the past, couple months. How does it affect the real estate market?
Well, short answer, the increase of uncertainty that grows, I guess, across the board, right? For people living here, for people who plan to come in, I think the uncertainty has been increasing. In the investment market, it's probably not a good thing to have, right? Again, I believe there's always good and bad for everything. There's always opportunities in every market. So it may be tougher to seek opportunities in general right now, as we have been facing tough times. You're right, in the past month, and I guess almost a year now, right? Since the trade war, and then we have the social unrest, and then now the COVID-19 situation. So in my opinion, is that the business and individuals who will probably need some time to be more, I guess, adaptive and creative and collaborative. Relatively speaking, compared with other financial cities in the world, Hong Kong do still have, in my opinion, strong fundamentals with good supports, good talents, mixture of East and West. I don't think, in other competing cities will be, having those elements just like that, So I still believe in the system and the play. So it's a matter of time that we will sort of bounce back again.
I see. So in terms of like the real estate, capital inflow and outflow of Hong Kong, how's it changed since the change of sentiment?
I guess that's a very good question. Inflow, due to uncertainty, as I was saying, definitely has impacted. Businesses are more cautious to come in, so slower inflow, definitely. From what we said just earlier, trade war and social unrest, I would say it's a little more political now, some of these decisions, as you probably are aware. So since I guess when you talk about the change of sentiment, right? COVID-19 is sort of like the global pandemic, so it's probably not a significant impact compared to the other two. As people are less mobile for all the traveling restriction, that also will impact the inflow of capital. I guess the main challenge for Hong Kong, since we're at a very, I guess, geographically in a very compact place, we have very few great real estate opportunities, and compared to perhaps like Singapore, similar to other tier 1 cities, price gaps are usually wide for core assets, so that creates challenges for investors. people who have deep pockets or would be the ones that look at Hong Kong. So in terms of outflow, though, we have been witnessing diversification through expansion to overseas. Family offices and local developers have been taking advantage of situation like Brexit in a year or 2 years time prior overseas opportunities. So for institutional clients, I still look forward to deals coming in and out to Hong Kong in the mid to short term, because Hong Kong being the still the gateway. Non-Asia funds still want to enter the China market as well. Main Chinese funds and developers are looking to expand overseas. So Hong Kong, relatively speaking, would probably be beneficial.
I see. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like kind of give people a picture of what's going on here. So I want something that focus, because there are a lot of things happening for the past couple months, right? Let's focus on the fire situation, because something that like even to me is kind of curious is that like how does a landlord or estate owner react to the situation, and what do they do to help out the whole society because of the whole virus pandemic?
Sure. I think you have, first of all, if I were to paint a picture, you have different scale of ownerships, right? So you have small tenants, small landlords, big landlords, i.e. portfolio landlords. So for COVID-19 especially, I would say most landlords think it is a temporary circumstance or scenario. I think Hong Kong being a very resilient city, after the fact that we have gone through SARS in 2003, we have been actually quite, agile in terms of, agile and strong on and adaptive on the whole COVID situation, if you were to ask, right? So like you hear in the news, retail and hospitality sectors has been impacted negatively, quite significantly actually. So some landlords have been quite supportive to restructure and for rent reduction and whatnot. So especially I would say going back the smaller scale landlords. So for portfolio landlords, where you have people or companies who have baskets or assets around the region, because they're listed, and due to the fact that residential sales has also been impacted somewhat, so they have been we have been, I guess, witnessing some disposal or some intention to dispose the non-core assets across Hong Kong. So that actually create opportunities for some end users / occupiers who now could have the opportunity to own their real estate, right? So say, for example, a family office then now could not just lease an office, they could have their own office in Hong Kong. So that actually brings some good news to some individuals who, of course, again, going back to the point that they have sufficient cash to do so. So in summary, I would say the virus enable landlords to rethink their real estate strategy to consolidate or reallocate where they want to do the businesses.
I think that's a pretty good picture for all of us. And on that regard, right, in terms of like people seeing opportunity in Hong Kong, what type of people are coming in, when it comes to investors or tenants, what type of what is their background or nationality, what is the where they're coming from? Do you have any kind of suggestions or pointers on that?
Right. As I said, I guess in the my points earlier, I would say institutional clients are still strong on. They still have interest to come to Hong Kong. Especially now, they have been seeing some adjustments on some smaller scale landlords. So, for example, you have older buildings where it's just owned by a family. They may want to, pass down, whatever the reason that they have to let go or dispose their assets. Then now the institutional clients would be able to find that opportunity to come into the market. So I would say primarily institutional clients and also mainland background clients. In terms of tenants, I would say I was again working in leasing sector. I think any businesses that are driving value, right? So anything relating with community. And also the medical sector, I think things that you could use or that you need, I would say those are the main things that have been supporting the market.
Okay, so in terms, go back a little bit in what you said just now. Institutional firms who are coming in, are they usually for self-use or do you see as an investment to lease out?
Right. Interestingly, I think they would. I mean, for family offices, definitely they are taking an advantage of the geographical location whereby they could do the businesses here, and also the tax situation, right? So I think short answer would be for investment, entering to the Asia market, diversifying their funds.
I see. Is there like a few areas that you think in Hong Kong they're more interested in that scale? Because obviously we talk about like it can be retail investor, it can be institutional or family office. Like for example, your clientele tend to be institutional firms and family offices. Is there like a certain region in Hong Kong that they tend to be interested to come in because of the whole take advantage of the buyer situation?
For sure. I would say core. Those are the areas that they tend to focus on. So anything that are more resilient are the things that they, and also the lease tenure. So the government lease. So I mean, in a smaller, I guess more practical example would be anything that perhaps in Hong Kong Island, where which you have 999-year lease. Those may probably be something more attractive in comparison to somewhere in decentralized area Kowloon. But of course, there are some interesting when you talk about investment, it's just also about returns, right? So if you have tenants who are going into places like in Kowloon East, we still have been seeing more interest due to, of course, the emerging CBD2 or already established CBD2. So, Kowloon East location, Hong Kong Island, prime location in Kowloon are always something that investors are interested on. I would say in terms of sector, because of the COVID situation, retail has definitely been coming down. So right now, some interests are drawn towards some people, owners who are suffering. But of course, some of these opportunities are not really cheap. Hints or cheap in a sense that you still need some negotiation to come in to capture the right timing. So price gap is still a topic that we always need to focus on.
I see.
Right.
No, that's good because even I'm learning. I'm not that familiar with. I live here, but I'm not that familiar with the real estate market here. So and also too, right? I know that you mentioned CBD2, and I only learned about what CBD 1, 2, and 3 means from like a conference I went last year, ULI conference. And then would you mind explaining to the audience, like within Hong Kong, CBD 1, 2, 3, what are those areas and why is it important to learn about those kind of different zones?
Right. Well, I'm not an expert on
that's fine. Just opinion,
city planning or anything, but in terms of a common practice, I guess a norm point of view, I would say traditional CBD would probably be anything around Central Admiralty, perhaps Wan Chai Causeway Bay. Those are what we call traditional CBD in the Hong Kong Island side. Based on a government initiative, probably 10 to 15 years ago, they plan to have Kowloon East right next to the airport the old airport, Kai Tak, to be CBD2. So what we generally say CBD2 would be anywhere between, Kwintong, a local district called Outflow Kok, and also Kowloon Bay. Those areas are classified as CBD2, whereby then you have, of course, when you have CBD, investments in infrastructure, and also, of course, other amenity supports are tend to follow. So I'm not too sure about what CBD3 is, because that we don't have like a formal classification yet. Though some landlords are looking to claim themselves CBD3 in some areas. So
claim themselves. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't have a model answer for it. So I would
cool.
just say 1 and 2. Yes.
Yeah, I think the CBD2, although is the East Hong Kong Island side, like Quarry Bay and Tai Kung area, I believe so. And then yep. I think they're proposing CBD3 should be somewhere near the border, where people can also commute between the border from Shenzhen and also from Hong Kong side. But there's something
sure.
that I'm sure these are only like jargon to say that what's the potential infrastructure and real estate opportunities are, which is it's very, I think it's kind of important to know where they are. So
yep.
So going back
Agreed.
to being So going back to being a connector, right? So, and I'm sure like for the past couple of years, a lot of people talking about the Greater Bay Area and about how there's so much potential and how much opportunity would be. What's your viewpoint on that? And then how would you think it would affect in terms of Hong Kong real estate markets?
Yep. Honestly, Greater Bay has been on the topic long ago already, in my opinion. I wouldn't say, about the future. It's more like now, in my opinion. So, I mean, we are already seeing a lot of investments going in, though there are still, some mismatch in terms of, I would say, finding the right opportunities to go in will be the current situation. I guess from the recent announcement from the Chinese party, Hainan Free Zone will be the next thing that goes on from until 2025. I guess that's off topic, but that's cool. More like the future, I would say. And yes, when we talk about real estate, I always correlate demographics, movement of people. I think increasing connectivity of the whole southern part. So Greater Bay, you're talking about, I think, connecting different cities and region of the southern part of China. Most, real estate in the region would probably benefit. I would say would benefit in the whole Bay Area. So as Hong Kong is positioned, strategically at the Bay, outward towards the Southeast Asia, whatnot, as an international financial metropolis, listed companies will be coming to Hong Kong and go on public, right? So workers will be traveling in and out of Hong Kong. So immediately, if you can imagine, you would be having increase in demand in residential properties, as people need to probably come in and work and live here. Though some people argue that, likewise, people will move north, right? So I think it's a healthy relationship, honestly. So you are expanding the territory whereby you have people coming in and out. And if you talk about, the whole size of Hong Kong in terms of, I guess, territory compared to the rest of China, and given its very high density, I'm not too concerned about them stealing our demand, if you will. So I think, I mean, I'm not saying that you were implying that question.
No, I'm just curious. Yeah.
I think it was just building upon each other so that's probably my view on the Greater Bay Area.
Because like I mean, like I know nothing about Hong Kong real estate or Chinese real estate. I kind of feel like the more I know less. And then to me, I'm just curious because like just something that like a lot of advertising or a lot of people talking about Greater Bay Area as if the promised land. And so from my point of view, it's like for Denzity Insights for myself, if I am just curious about it, I'm sure a lot of people would be curious and want to know more from you as well.
Sure. I mean, the promised land, I'm not sure. You probably need to.
It's a metaphor.
Right? I know, but I mean, it's more like I think for me to explain, I'm probably not an expert because I don't go to the Greater Bay, all the cities I haven't visited. But of course, given we are on the topic, I try to learn more about different cities and what they could offer, right? So just a short example, somewhere some city may have better healthcare system or whatnot, or better history. So I think it's just mixing people together, right? So and if you were to identify them by different skill set, then they could just go to different places for different tasks. So
I see.
Try to allocate resources correctly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So going back to like the whole learning and expertise or skill sets, because like in your point of view, right? Like obviously, like we're both learning about the Greater Bay Area and real estate professionals tend to be location focused. Do you feel like your scope would increase because of this whole bridging between like different places in Greater Bay Area? And then do you feel like like as a commercial real estate agent yourself, how would you plan to do that, to learn about it? And then do you plan to like expand your scope, do more work in connecting different sides? Like, I just want to know, like, if people listen to it, say, hey, I'm a commercial real estate agent, what should I do? Like, how would you suggest?
I mean, it's a partial personal question, right? So I think it's a fact that whether a person is more towards the open-minded thinking, right? So in my, going back to my introduction, one of my passions, or the reason why I enjoy what I do and have motivation on the industry is because I do want to learn new things and meet new people, right? When you do that, I think it's important to stay relevant, as I was saying in I guess one of your questions. So that's my typical day. There's a healthy, I believe in, I guess, there's a healthy correlation of the fact that that the more the better, the higher likelihood of you solving bigger problems, right? So the bigger problem that you solve is likely that the more money that you make, right? Or more successful you become, whatever that means, right? So that by a more personal question. So yes, I mean, and spending enough time to learn, right? So I think one of the challenges is, we have to allocate our own resources carefully on how much we want to input, right?
No, it's like even like the way you talk about in this video, and also like just knowing personally, you always have a very strong theme about connecting and just servicing someone if they need some help. So I think it's something that's it's very it's kind of very loud into a very cohesive kind of like value that obviously as a friend I really appreciate that too. And I think that like it's something that's weird. It's like the real estate sector. The more you know, the less you really know because it's so huge. So and also too, right? It's something that like away from just investing as a whole, because we're both in the PropTech Institute together, the association about property tech, to learn more about it. I want to know how, because property tech is something that is still new in the sector. People still don't even know what's going on. Why for you, like you can spend a lot more time on investing, do other kind of services, get different type of licenses and stuff like that, but why would you dedicate your time more on property tech?
Well, I would say there are different parts and different parts of the answers to the question, I would say. I guess for the last part, different licenses and all, I'm not that academically smart, I think.
No, you aren't. Be humble. You're being humble.
I think the value that you create is about, helping, not helping others per se, but it's about answering people's question or solving people's problem, right? So you can know everything in the world, but if you don't exercise it, then it's pointless, meaningless, right? So I think that's why fundamentally when I decided to come back to Asia, where opportunities are more compared to different parts of the world, relatively speaking, is the reason why I decided to continue on doing what I do. So I guess that answer the first part of the question. And of course, when we encounter different tasks or different scenarios, we tend to meet more interesting people, like-minded people. And then when you have that like-minded group, then you sort of intrinsically or naturally, there is already a group or community to be continue.
I see. No, I think that's pretty good. It's just something that myself, I'm curious too, right? And then I think that because we both have a really good friend, Chris, and then make us feel really insecure because he's too smart. And shout out to Chris. And then I know, so something that maybe I feel like this conversation we can go another hour if we can, because there's a lot of things that even in my head I haven't asked yet. But I kind of want to do this long form video in the future, so hopefully you can join in next time for that.
Sure. So, yeah. I mean, to speak with other people as well, I think we could jump in a breakout room or something, right? So,
yeah. I mean, the Denzity Insight is meant to learning different insights and tips from different experts, right? And then for us, we're thinking that hey, maybe next time we can go for a very specific topic, or we can even go for different guests in their journey. Even your journey is very interesting, And so I think that's something that we can do. So before we go, right, what kind of takeaway would you like the audience to have from this video?
I mean, I don't know who the audience are. I would say
no one knows.
So I mean that's a joke. I mean, we do have a focus, real estate focus.
Yes.
I think generally speaking, just to be again to my point, being relevant is I try to do that every day as well. Be open-minded. I think that's a very simple thing that everyone could do. Being open-minded could, to your lens, would mean that, if you had negative feeling about this market today or this in sector today, doesn't mean that it's not going to flourish in tomorrow. So, that sort of applies to, I guess, real estate markets. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? What if we don't have the vaccine? Then we need to think of something different, right? So, problem with, I guess, aging is that you stay sort of close-minded, right? And you feel like So I think the community that we feel like we are building is something that channel the message as well, right? So to be open-minded.
That's really good. Thank you. I think I thought about real estate stuff and talk about philosophy. I was like, wow, that's kind of deep. So for people who, the right audience, who try to find out, know more about real estate, Hong Kong real estate, and they want to find you, what are some ways that you suggest people to reach out to you?
Just LinkedIn, or you could always find Darren, and then you can get my number.
Is that easy?
Yeah, LinkedIn would probably be more professional if you were to talk about business. Otherwise, email. I mean, LinkedIn, you have an email anyway.
Yeah, so I'll include everything in the show notes and then description of the video. And then I just want to say thank you, Simon. I really want to. No, totally fine. And then thanks for sharing. And then I hope the audience gets something out of it. And then until next time, then thank you.
Sure.
I'll talk to you next.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the ones who help us in making our brand, art direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm to help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.